Lockwood Electric, located at 633 Bassett Road. The applicant is Lockwood, who is requesting sketch plan review associated with construction of an 8,822 square foot multi-tenant post-frame style building on a 1.48 acre lot located in an industrial district under section 269-5 of the Code of Lieutenant Webster.
Okay. Good evening, members of the board. My name is Ian Cookman. I'm with McMahon LaRue. I'm here with Lockwood, owner of Lockwood Industries Electric. We're here for sketch plan application for the new office location and operations facility for Lockwood Electric, in addition to leasable space for a tenant to be determined, garage space, and then dog daycare as well. The site is a former homestead, farming, agricultural, residential site. It's now zoned industrial. We were before the town board last week for application of industrial use permit and referral to the planning board here tonight. Lockwood is proposing to build a post-frame style, pole barn style structure for their operations, which I believe we've submitted architecturals as part of our application by GLA Architects. The site has been mostly demolished from its original homestead application. What remains is a couple of accessory structures, one of which is going to be incorporated as part of this build-out for the dog daycare. The substantial post-frame pole barn addition is going to be mostly for Lockwood Electric. And the parking space is going to be substantially increased for Lockwood Electric fleet of vans and work vehicles, in addition to employee parking. Lockwood Electric is currently operating out of 520 Salt Road, so a longtime Webster resident and looking to stay in the community. The application process is long for us. Like I said, we were before the town board last week, we were before the planning board today for sketch plan application. We're next to the zoning board of appeals for variance of the buffer requirements. And then we'll be back here a couple more times for preliminary and final application, and then finally back home to the town board for the issuance of the industrial permit, along with the special permit application for the dog daycare. With that said, the goal is to minimize total disturbance on the site to under an acre, so it's a small scale construction operation that will yield substantial dividends to the community in the success of the business. I wanted to see what comments the board had. I think we've jumped the gun a little bit. We've prepared and submitted pretty substantial site plans with a substantial amount of design incorporated, a lot more than what you would typically see on a sketch plan application. But we do want to take the board's considerations as we move over to the zoning board and the remainder of the planning board application process. So at this moment, I'll open it up for any questions.
Are there any variances required?
There is a variance required.
Have you got it yet?
Not yet. That'll be the next process for us.
What would that be for?
So for industrial zone parcels have an industrial setback requirement, a buffer requirement, which is a little bit more than what we're asking for, and it includes not only the building but also the parking area, so the edge of pavement is slightly infringed on that buffer requirement. So we'll be seeking a modest amount of relief from that. And I think the intent of that requirement is most industrial sites in Webster are large parks, like the Xerox Park, where you're looking for a little bit more buffer between those larger parcels. This is a much smaller parcel, it's less than an acre and a half. So I think it would be realistic to ask for that relief from the board.
you know, your drainage is, that kind of,
Yeah, so the challenge with this site is that we're tying into an existing structure, so our finished floor elevation is pretty well established. It's a relatively flat site as is, so we don't have a lot of options stormwater-wise. So we're trying to sheet flow everything into that relatively flat swale that's going to have a perforated underdrain. It's going to drain into our into the storm sewer out on Basket Road.
Mary, have you, dumpster enclosure, that'll be near the front?
Yeah, we chose the front within that dog fenced-in area to avoid the westerly winds blowing odor into the operations of Lockwood Electric.
A little premature, but just when you get to that point, don't just throw some up like that, make it look decent.
I live directly across the street,
That's probably a good reason to do it.
and I'm gonna make sure it's a nice place, for sure.
Sounds good. That's the concern, because you're the neighbor, so, yeah.
I
All right,
think that's
anybody
it.
have questions or concerns on this? It's,
So you mentioned there used to be agricultural use, and I noticed this was near Fulton Webster. One thing to double check, I didn't see it on the secret one, but just double check in general. There are county ag districts in this area. They haven't been used for a long time, but the ag districts have never been resolved. So just verify that the parcel itself is not subject to ag district.
I'll double check that, thank you. Yeah, double check that. Ag district.
Yeah, there's even a couple of industrial parks in there that are right in the middle of the ag district that have never been resolved.
Yeah, with that said, I mean, we're on the industrial side of Baskin Road, so everything around us, we've got waste management right next door to us. Across the street, we do have residents, so we are substantiating a buffer.
So that's why I mentioned for the specific.
Yeah,
The ag
for sure,
district.
we'll look into that based on that.
Put them in place 30 years ago. And they had developed in certain areas. Hadn't been used for agriculture for years and years, but the district still exists, sort of subject to the programs.
Josh, are you aware of?
I don't believe this property is within an ag district, but we can help double check that.
Okay, thank you.
And with this property being on Basket Road, we were required to refer it to Monroe County. And I know that that's also something that they take a look at as well. Once we can confirm that for you.
Okay, thank you.
all right, that's something we can check out anyways, right? So
Yeah.
when you come back, maybe we can have an answer to it.
First things first, get our variances, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Ian, I just have one more thing. You
Yeah.
indicated a fence in the RG and the RTC easement, utility easement. Just want to make sure that that is allowed in that easement, the fence that you guys proposed.
Okay.
And then, I guess just out of curiosity, interior architectural plan showed storage. I'm assuming we're not dealing with like transformer storage, any kind of chemicals inside, because it's right next to abutting to the dog area. Does it have a fireproof wall between the two components of use, I guess?
So, I'm sorry, I've got hearing aids, I have a bit of a hard time hearing you, but you're concerned about the storage?
Yeah, I'm assuming you're not storing transformers or any kind of chemicals inside that,
No,
if, fire concern, just between the dog use and then your storage use.
Correct, no, the storage use is going to be for H&L Incorporated that's owning this, the place to store the stuff to maintain the property
Okay.
and that kind of stuff, nothing industrial or anything like that. Nothing more than you would find in your garage.
The overall site, once you're completed, there's no outdoor storage, right?
I'm sorry?
No outdoor storage?
No. No, everything should be inside. The only thing outside would be a parking lot.
Yeah, no, that sounds good. Okay.
So the draft seeker, it does indicate on here that there are wetlands or other regulated water bodies on the parcel. So you're aware you have to start that whole process of the wetland regulations as soon as possible.
Derek, you're saying there are wetlands on there?
Yeah, according to the seeker form, if it identifies as wetlands or other regulated areas, and because of that, it looks like they're going to start down this path of the jurisdictional determination and the new New York State wetland regulations. You start that now, so you don't get hung up on it.
Okay, yep.
You can check into that, I guess.
Sounds good. Thank you for
Okay,
your time.
good luck.
All right.
You know what, before you go, Josh, if they're going to the zoning board, do you feel there's any issues with it, or should we pretty?
No, I think the variances that are being requested are not really substantial.
So you don't need a letter recommending it?
What's that?
I was thinking it was questionable, you know.
I mean, the board could provide a letter of support if they're favorable to the design.
After you tell us, what?
Sure.
You want to send them a letter to the zoning board that might expedite it a little bit? A letter of recommendation from this board to the zoning board? You okay with that?
Yeah.
All right, then we'll do that. We'll send a letter to the zoning board.
Yeah, everything helps. I appreciate that.
It's a nice short, they're helpful.
Okay. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay, thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
See you, good luck. All right, that's good, isn't it?
I make a motion to approve the meeting minutes for April 1st, 2025.
Okay, the motion is second, all in favor? That's the only one, right? Okay, with that, I guess we're all set for this evening, so thanks for coming in.